Hey guys, this is KSP with Tape, and today you join me for episode 20 of KSP Road to Exploration. And it's been a little while since the last one, so this is a slightly longer episode to make up for it, and totally not because I had a lot of footage I wanted to get into, and I'm not a particularly skilled editor. But anyway, first thing to do today is to take our tourist to Minmus, and to do some science on Minmus. We have clearly not been doing enough science recently. We've been working mostly on this station. It's funny how space programs seem to kind of stall when you, work on a station more than doing other things. But anyway, yeah, Red Origin 3 is the name of this. It's apparently been renamed to Hermes 1 Lander. How dare they change the name of Red Origin 3, the mighty tourism spacecraft. Anyway, so yes, after planning my maneuver to Minmus, I guess it's time to do the maneuver to Minmus. Hopefully won't take too long, although this is a terribly underpowered... Well, it's not underpowered, it's just not a particularly... thrustful engine, I guess. But yeah, it looks like we'll be able to get the node done pretty quickly and head on out there and land. And we've brought our little scientific module to do some science on the station. And we have a scientist on the Hermes station to do some science on Minmus. Sorry, not the science on the station. And we have a scientist on the Hermes station who'll be able to reset the experiments. And yeah, so I'm just going to grab a few of the reusable reports right now because I might as well. Problem with this spacecraft is that with two Kerbals it only has, I think, 13 days of life support, which isn't quite enough time for a round trip. Luckily, we have Ceres 1, the station out at Minmus, which we can refuel our, restock our life support supplies on it. It does have enough fuel for the round trip, so we won't have to drain any fuel from the station, but yeah. And then we'll drop down to the surface, get paid handsomely for planting flags and for taking the tourists down there, and for, well, getting the science, which we won't really be paid for, but it'll pay itself off with awesome technology that we will use to go even further into this universe of ours. So yes, once we've got the maneuver all set up as efficiently as I can make it, by doing some of the inclination changes at slightly weird times, just because I tend to do that because sometimes I don't do the inclination change fully at the ascending node, just because I can get roughly what I want a little further along the orbit, which will take slightly less delta V. It'll be slightly less accurate, but it will save fuel overall, and that's quite a big constraint because it's quite well, not expensive to get fuel to space, because I have a fully reusable fueling system now, which you will see the final part of that fueling system go back to Kerbal today. If you remember, maybe a couple of episodes ago, maybe one episode ago, we had a reusable rocket bring up a fuel supply, and then that fueled up the station, and then I reused the whole rocket, but I haven't reused the fueling vehicle yet, but I will be doing that this episode because, well, we need a fully reusable fueling system because we do need a lot of fuel for our current our organization, I guess. So yeah, let's do our little change here and get on the way to Minmus. We've got, what was the Kerbal's name? Move, speaker. We have Suigh. How do you say that? Suigh. S-U-I-G-H. Suigh? Suigh? I'm going to call her Suigh coming. Suigh coming! And Valentina. We have Valentina and Suigh! That's great. So yeah, we're just going to remove some of the scientific data from here so we can retake our reports and then go grab it again. That's a nice thing about these barometers now. You can use them in the vacuum, the opposite of atmosphere. Sorry, I'm rather terrible at talking today. I'm not sure what that's about. I haven't recorded one of these in a while. But anyway, so let's get into orbit and then rendezvous with the station so we can restock our life support and leave the fuel tank there. We also need to rearrange some of this so we can get the fuel tank left on the station and then pluck the science module off of it. So yeah, we're just going to burn until we have a nice encounter there and not take more science because we've already taken a report from high above Minmus. But yeah, so here we are, just moving in, making our intersect closer and closer so that we slam right through it, destroying the station, hiding all evidence of the meth lab we had on board. Wait, no, I mean, let's rendezvous gently with the station, and yeah, do science, the chemistry science, kind of like Heisenberg. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, but here we are, just flew past the station gently, but we're here now, so let's just get up there and dock, which is a fairly standard maneuver. This brings enough monopropellant for a couple of dockings, maybe 3 if I'm efficient, which I obviously am, as I am the glorious space pilot. Space pilot? I was going to say space pirate, but I haven't stolen anything yet, because of course I had express orders to use all of the spacecraft I've used today, much as Mark Watney in the film The Martian had permission to use that spacecraft. In the book he didn't, because he lost communications, but in the film he kept communications and was obviously told, yeah, get on the spacecraft, making him not a space pirate. I know I've said this a lot of times, but he was not a space pirate in the film. He was just like, get in the spacecraft, thanks NASA, thanks for the orders, I'm not a pirate, I just do what you tell me. That's not very piratey if you ask me. So, yeah. Anyway, after refueling the life support and complaining much about that film, which was a nice film, I preferred the book because I think I preferred the book because I read it first. I don't know which one was better, but I think just once you've read all of the details and then the details aren't there in another story, you're like, I want those details, and they would have made it a worse film, but I actually wanted them. Anyway, after dropping that fuel tank, we grab the science bit, the science module, and then we're going to go grab that fuel tank again and put the fuel tank back on the station, and then we're going to descend to Minmus without the fuel tank, because we don't need to bring that. In fact, if we did bring it, we would probably hit the surface too hard, or at least get stuck on Minmus, although there is more fuel on the station, so probably not. We have a pretty robust system. But yeah, I'm going to land on one of these flats. I've landed on the flaps, I landed on the Great Flats, I believe, so I'm going to go for what I believe to be just the flats, and hope that it is indeed a different biome. And yeah, and I also have a mission to get some temperature reports from, I think, the flats, so we're going to get a lot of money out of this mission, because, you know, we need money and we need science, and often the things I do are just kind of, I was like, that'll be fun, and don't really think about money or science, because I just play this for fun. This is how I would be playing KSP. I'm not a super fast completionist. I'm a, let's have some fun and hopefully get stuck on Duna and do a Martian type thing, and obviously I will be able to tell the astronaut to take the spacecraft, so he won't be a space pirate. I'll stop. I'm sorry. I'm ruining what was actually a very nice movie. So yeah, let's land here and grab some temperature reports. And look at what did I say I'd call her? Sui Kerman. Very excited. She is she was a little scared when Val just jumped out and grabbed a report. She was like, what are you doing? And then it was fine. But yeah, we're just going to descend to the surface pretty easy because it's Minmus, which is nice because, you know, it's pretty low gravity, so you can just, you have a pretty easy time correcting correcting the mistakes I make. So yeah, we're just coming around really gently. This is 1 times time accelerator for now, just now. I think that was maybe a little jarring, I'm sorry. But yeah, and then we touch down kind of skewiffly, but it's fine because it's Minmus. And we bounce on the minty surface and touch down rather gently. We get our report, we get our little bit of money for taking Sui to the surface. We'll get more when she goes back on the Ares later. I think that is in this episode, and we'll take all of these reports and getting glorious science for the glory of our space program. That's why you get science, for glory. But first I need to take the temperature report, the pressure report out of here so that I can retake the report from the surface, because I got one more coming down. So yeah. Anyway, this all obviously takes a little while, so I've sped it up so you can see me doing it kind of phonetically. Not phonetically, that's just how you spell things when you want it to be easy to say. So I guess phonetically. Just looking at Earth Kerbal a couple times, and putting down the flag telling me that it was a flats landing. And the craft is Red Origin 3, and the crew is Valentina, and I forgot Sui's name, and also she wasn't the crew, she was just along for the ride. She did nothing except provide, nice conversation on the way out here. The previous missions, except the Red Origin to the Moon one, have all been single people missions, and it's been rather boring inside. Yeah, landed on the solar panel there, thought I was going to break it, which is bad, because it's not like I can just get a new one of these. These are very expensive vehicles, and I can't send up another one. Well, I can, but I would rather not. Anyway, so we're just doing a quick hop over to this little bit of sector over here, and we're going to go, find out the temperature, and then we get paid for finding out the temperature, as you can see there, and then we're going to go to the next one, and then the next one, and then we're going to fly back to the station, the Hermes station, and then, so I think both of these Kerbals, Valentina and Sui, will be going home, back to Kerbin, back to Blighty, a Blighty 1 injury, I'm sure, from my terrible piloting. Blighty 1, by the way, is what you'd call an injury you would get in the First World War that would allow you to go back to England. Or Blighty, if you're being colloquial. So that's where Blighty 1 comes from. I don't know why that it stuck in my head. Oh yeah, it's because I was saying back to Kerbin, and whenever I say something like that, I'm always thinking back to Blighty for some reason. I don't really know. I guess my brain works in the exact same way everyone else's brain works. I think that's probably true. Anyway, so I still have a Mystery Goo report left. So I'm going to jump over to this biome, just these, I think this is the slopes of the highlands or something, and then we're going to land gently and just you know, find out what the slopes are doing, and then we're going to get more science, because we want all of the science we can possibly get, because we need to unlock cool things. I really want some science labs, actually. You know, the mobile labs you can do, you can put them on stations, put them on the ground. They allow you to get science from places. It's pretty cool. So yeah, let's just take all of this data so we can put it in our capsule. Almost broke the solar panels again, rather worryingly. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to plant another flag, being like, yeah, I actually don't think I do plant a flag. Oh. Well, apparently I didn't. I guess I didn't do a full mission here, so it doesn't deserve a flag. But anyway, now we need to go and meet the station. I'm not sure the best place to put it to meet it, so I just put it above me so I can get roughly close to it, and then maneuver in later. And that's actually looking pretty good. We're going to be sorta close to the station. But yeah, that was our little time on Minmus. This Red Origin spacecraft is being rather useful for tourism, which is starting to pay quite nicely, especially if it's all very reusable. So yeah, and it's also good for just science, really. It's good to have a reusable vehicle, a reusable space program. I guess that's probably what I should call this series, although I think that name was taken. Anyway, so here we are. Series 1, we need to fetch back our fuel tank, maybe get top up on life support again, just because it never hurts to have too much life support. Unless you literally have so much that it's like crammed in, or you put so much oxygen in the spacecraft that you're like pressurized, then it would indeed hurt to have too much life support. But I don't really know. But yeah, there's a little station, and we're going to get a contract later to actually expand this station, because it's a bit right now. It's got a little fuel tank, a little bit of space, but it's a nice little place just to rendezvous and store things, I guess, like fuel and life support. But yeah, here we are, just moving in, grabbing oh yeah, I need to drop this off here, because I need to rearrange this, because I don't want to have the science module in between the tank and the spacecraft. I feel like it might get a bit compressed or something. Yeah, the station's oscillating quite a bit. I think maybe I just had a bit of a hard docking. So yeah, let's just get rid of all of our excess waste and things and grab a little more life support, and then fetch what apparently is called Red Origin 3. Apparently that is the spacecraft, and this is just a probe. So yeah, let's just grab that and head back to Kerbin. It'll be glorious. We'll regale people with stories of stories of the minty freshness of Minmus. Jeb has already been there once. I think it was Jeb, or maybe, yeah, I believe it was Jebediah who first landed on Minmus in one of the old Callisto spacecraft. And yeah, I'm just doing a little bit of maneuver planning here, making sure I do have the right amount of Delta V. Annoyingly, my Delta V window has disappeared from MechJeb, so I don't really know if I have enough, but I'm pretty sure I have, like, more than enough. I think I only need about 1,000 meters per second to get back, and this carries a hell of a lot of Delta V because, well, I mean, I don't want to have to keep going and rescuing this. That would be rather annoying, or have to send up a new one, because, again, they're pretty expensive. Although they are pretty simple, so it's not that bad, but yeah, still. Anyway, so, on our way back, we'll just be having to do our deorbit burn. That's the main problem with these spacecraft, is you can't just send them back into the atmosphere like a normal spacecraft that would go to the moon. They have to be able to slow down when they come back, which is the Ares 2's main problem. Anyway, we're going to leave this for now, because we have other things to do while it's heading back, because that'll take about a week. One of which is bringing back the fueling spacecraft I talked about earlier. It has completed its job, so it needs to, well, head back to Kerbin. And, it's reusable, so we would like it to head back to Kerbin. So I'm just finishing off the deorbit with the RCS thrusters. And here's just us re-entering the atmosphere. Again, kind of a bit of a cut-through re-entry, because they take a little while, and you know what they look like. And here's us just flying over the KSC mountains. Our ablator burning nicely. and then we're going to touch down pretty close, so we're going to get most of the money back for this. It'd be nice if I could eventually propulsively land this on the launch pad. That'd be pretty awesome. But for now, we will just land on parachutes in the ocean and fetch back, I think, about 90% of the money, maybe more. I've forgotten exactly, but we'll see in a second. But yes, this really does save money. We're getting a bit of weird glitching with scatter there. At first I thought it was rain, but it's not. Yes, 96.3% of our money back for that. That's rather nice. We just have to buy the fuel and I guess like 4% of the spacecraft. But anyway, the main reason I needed to, well, kind of skip ahead because, well, the main reason I needed to not follow the red origin all the way back is because we have a launch. And then we actually have a launch window. Kerbal to Moho has just opened up. And we would rather like to send a probe down there. I've actually was going to send up another Ares 1 spacecraft to the station, but that's been postponed because we have a launch window to Moho. So atop a Pulsar 3 vehicle, we have the Kestrel 3, actually. My interplanetary probes. It's a slightly upgraded one from the one we have the one we have orbiting Duna and the one we have heading to Eve, which we'll get there probably next episode, hopefully. And you can see here, it does have a materials bay on it, and this will probably just be a fly past because, well, while I probably, if I'd really tried, could have made an orbital spacecraft, I just thought I might as well just do a fly past because, well, firstly, fly pasts are kind of cool, and secondly, Delta V requirements were a little bit tight because Moho is kind of hard to orbit around. Anyway, while trying to reuse this first stage, I'm actually heading back the wrong way. So I used a gimbaling thrust of the engines to flip it around the right way, and then a little later just slowing down on just the 3 engines because we don't need to be using all of the engines because it's much lighter now that it is devoid of fuel and payload, and we just slow ourselves down enough to pull the parachutes and land gently on the ocean, which is rather nice. I am really liking the Pulsar 3s. It does give me a pretty good payload to orbit, I have to say. I think it's around 15 tons if I really want, and then it's fully reusable. The second stage will not be reused because that's going to push it all the way out to Moho, which does make this mission sort of expensive, but I mean, we're going to freaking Moho, so it's going to be expensive. Anyway, after planning the maneuver, which is 1750 delta V, meters per second of delta V, which I probably could have lessened by using an Eve assist or something smart, but I didn't plan. I would have used the Eve window, and I used my Eve window to send a probe to Eve, but maybe I should have used it to fling myself down to Moho's orbit to reduce my delta V requirements. But maybe I'll do that for a later mission to get an orbit. I don't think this does have enough delta V to orbit around Minmus? Moho. But yeah, you can see it's a slightly different probe if you remember the other Kestrels, the one around Duna and the one heading to Eve, which actually I realized that the other 2 Kestrels won't be able to use that RCS engine because the engines can't use radial tanks of monopropellant, which sucks. So yeah, but this has liquid fuel engines, so yeah. Anyway, I'm just setting up the fine-tune maneuver to move into Moho and find out the secrets of what makes it look such like a potato. Which will be very interesting. But anyway, we'll set an alarm clock for that and deal with that at a later date. But now I think it is time to go. Well, firstly, it's time to get a mission to expand the Ceres 1 station around Minmus, which will be awesome. But after this, it's time to bring Red Origin back. Yes, named after the Blue Origin, because since I called my Redstone rockets Bluestone rockets, I thought it would be appropriate. And, you know, it's pretty cool. I think that's probably the most viable looking way of space tourism, I guess, unless you're riding on something like SpaceX. You could probably pay for them. Use SpaceX, but it's a fully reusable rocket. Although, I don't know, I don't know much about Virgin Galactic, so maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, so we're going to need to get ourselves aligned with the station in this world that not troubled by the troubles of Earth with Blue Origin in there, saying that they did better than Elon Musk. Ah, what a bastard. Well, it's good to have competition in the space race. Otherwise, in space travel, that's how we landed on the moon, the space race, because it was a race. And then, you know, we had like 40 years of stagnation with the space shuttle and the Delta vehicles and the Atlas vehicles, and the Soyuz's got okay, and China did some cool stuff, but yeah, NASA's launch vehicle, well, not NASA's, America's launch vehicles, the Lockheed Martin ones were just they're just so expensive now. It's ridiculous. I mean, you could launch your probe, your spacecraft on a SpaceX vehicle and save enough money to buy a new satellite rather than if you use SpaceX instead of ULA, the United Launch Alliance, which I believe is Boeing and Lockheed. But hopefully SpaceX and everyone trying to reuse rockets now will really push people to do better, because surely there's just no point using anything other than SpaceX at this point. Anyway, here we are moving into the station and cutting ahead just to where we are docking, because the rendezvous took a little while and you've seen it many a time. We're just docking to one of these radial docking ports attached to the fuel tanks, and we will send these two astronauts. Well, I guess they are technically astronauts, even if they are tourists. But yeah, we'll send these two astronauts and another tourist home, so that we can complete a few missions and get Val back for various flying things around. Don't know why I said flying like flying. Anyway, yeah, there we are, docked. The station is getting rather large, if you ask me. And we're just going to take all of the scientific data up to the Ares that is currently docked to the station, and we're going to return to Kerbin. So yes, Valentina just takes a quick flight in her RCS pack all the way up to the beautiful looking spacecraft. We'll have another one of these coming up in 10 days to bring down more crew. I've started just crewing these spacecraft when I send them up with one crew, so I can bring down two, because I've amassed a huge amount of Kerbals on the station somehow, because I guess I keep sending up vehicles and don't have enough return vehicles for them. So if there is some kind of disaster, only 3 Kerbals will be able to come home of the about 9 I have on the station, so yeah. Well, I guess there's probably enough spacecraft for them all to escape somewhere. Yeah, there's 8. Yeah, if some of them could get into the Ares, some of them could, well, the Ares 1, some of them get into Ares 2, some of them get into the Red Origin, but that's probably not going to happen. Anyway, I've got, I think, Bob Kerman here, just doing a little bit of scientific work, resetting my experiments so I can do them again, and dropping a little extra report that we had from a mission a while ago into the Ares, which is nice. And yeah, time to leave, I guess. Bring these Kerbals home. Valentina piloting. We've got Carsey, who's been in space for a while after flying past Minmus, I think. She's a tourist, and we'll fully complete that mission after she's brought home, which will be rather nice. And yeah, here we are. We used almost all of our fuel, but we did get a good re-entry periapse, which is nice. And yeah, which is, you know, often a bit of a problem with these spacecraft, because they don't carry a ton of Delta V, because they pretty much just carry enough fuel to kind of dock, and then they often have to refuel at the station. But usually I bring some backup fuel so that I don't actually have to refuel. Well, once again, we will be losing these monopropellant engines, which is a bit of a shame. I should probably figure out how to not make that happen. Maybe I'll just put them somewhere else, or maybe in the service bay. That's interesting, have them angled outwards. Oh yeah, I installed the ambient light mod so that you can see things in the dark now. I realised I should have done this a long time ago, I'm very sorry for that, but I installed it so that you will see in the dark a little more, although it does make the map view look horrible. So I dim it a little more, and you can see that you can sometimes not see anything. But yeah, you can see the spacecraft a little better now. I should have been using that this whole episode, but I totally forgot about it. But anyway, here we are, bringing our Ares back with our crew, and back to the much beloved planet, and 662 science, and a little bit of funds, and everyone got a lot of XP, and Val is now level 2. Anyway, so we've got a lot of science to unlock some things. So the first thing I'm going to get is this. It's the mobile lab and a bunch of awesome base building things. I also think I'm going to get, I don't know, there's a lot of cool stuff I could be getting. I don't have that much science, but you know, I think I will get this because it has the smaller RCS tanks, which I've been needing for a while. I'm not sure about them, and I think I will unlock that just because some slightly bigger engines and some slightly cooler engines. Anyway, I thought I would finish off the episode with a bit of a prototype vehicle. This is something our crazy scientist Werner von Kerman has been yakking about. He calls it a single-staged orbit. He's called it Loki. It's the Loki proto because it's a trickster. It's mysterious. You think it's a plane, but then it goes to space. And of course, Loki is a trickster in Norse mythology, I think. But yeah, this is kind of a prototype for an SSDO. I'm just flying it around a bit, see how it flies. It's just got really big delta wings. I mean, kind of custom delta wings, but that's kind of what you call a triangular wing. So yeah, it glides pretty well, and I'm just going to test it going hypersonic using these afterburning engines and activating the the liquid fuel engine, just to see how it does in supersonic trajectory, well, supersonic profile even. And yeah, I think I quite like the design of this actually. It's it's wavy a bit. I mean, it uses some. I use some of those kind of proper fuel tanks in the middle because they have better density for storing fuel than fuselages. And then I've also used a couple of kind of aerodynamic tails to attach two engines. And I quite like this. I haven't unlocked rapiers yet, so I think this is actually a pretty good method of doing it. It's almost like the old SSTOs we'd build in the days of old in KSP. But yeah, I think this could be cool. I do want a bigger crew vehicle, and I think the best way of doing that would be an SSTO, because I don't really have any bigger pods than the 3 crew one. And yes, I could put in one of those hitchhiker storage containers, but that makes it kind of aerodynamically unstable. And yeah, I might design something cool like that and make it kind of custom and put maybe some wing surfaces on it. But I think for now, the best way to get multiple crew to a station is to build a big-ass SSTO. This is just a prototype, of course. I may be working on this a little more, but yeah, we're going to touch down on a runway. And it's a pretty good landing. We bounce a little bit, and it turns out even though this runway is much better than it used to be, there are still a few bumps on it. And I thought I'd lost something, but apparently I didn't. But anyway, yeah, that is the end of the episode. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been a bit Minmus-centric, but we've got a lot of cool things coming on, and I think we're going to really be moving forward in future episodes. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been KSP with Tape. I will see you next time.